Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Gary Heyman, your host today for our first CMO Unity webinar. This is kind of a vision created by Holly at Avenue Code, one of our esteemed partners, trying to bring great-minded CMOs together to kind of talk about and discuss some of the interesting challenges that we're looking at about the customer experience and really how that's changing in this new world of AI. So we've got some amazing guests today that we'll be hearing from. We've got Kevin Hayes, a fractional CMO. We've got Melissa Anthony from the Office of the CMO at Bloomy. We've got Mary Wells, the CMO at Cloudera, and also Michael Walker, the CMO at the AI agency. So really excited to get to meet all these people. I thought maybe it would be great is just to do a little bit of a personal intro. Kevin, if you don't mind kicking us off and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name's Kevin Hayes, and fractional CMO at Variant One, and I built my first website in 1995 at the tender age of 15, and have been in the online business ever since. I've worked with a lot of different brands, from General Electric to Imperial Oil to sports teams and e-commerce brands, and all the way down to Joe's Pizza Shop. I seem to do really well with B2B brands, but have done a lot of great work with retail brands as well. And I think one piece, just to share a little bit more personal, is that I recently, about a year and a half ago, inherited a 5-year-old, and I now understand what all the parents on Facebook are doing when they are posting pictures of their kids doing things that really are not important to anybody else other than them.
Well, we got to humanize everything. So Kevin, thank you so much. Michelle, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Michelle Anthony. I've been in marketing and sales leadership roles for the last 25 years. So my formative years were at Dell, so over a decade at Dell, then on to Gartner, and now I am with Boomi. We are an IT iPaaS company, so an integration platform as a service. So deep into the tech and SaaS industries is where most of my experience resides. I have a high school. I have 2 girls, one in high school and a junior in college. So am wrestling with being empty nesters very, very soon for the first time in a very long time. And I live in the Washington, D.C. area.
Awesome. And you know, it's funny, my wife and I are in a very similar position. I've got twin girls that are sophomores in college, and then our son is a senior. And so, yeah, come the beginning of next year, we'll be empty nesters and, getting to have a little bit more free time. So thank
It'll
you.
be here before we know it.
Yes, without a doubt. Mary, if you could share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Gary, and thank you everybody for joining. I'm Mary Wells. I'm the CMO at Cloudera, and I've had a 30-year career run, so I'm proud to say my 3 decades. I actually started off in the early 90s when client server was cutting edge at Sybase, and from there made a move to that tectonic plate shift of technology, e-commerce, and the internet, where I was heading up field marketing at Broadvision. And so I was telling Gary, I feel like I've just hit these tectonic plate shifts of game-changing technology that changes the way you live and work. And it seems to be every 5 to 10 years. And so after Broadvision, I went to BEA, and that's where the developer community and app servers were kind of game-changing technology at the time. And then I was a CMO of a couple smaller companies based in Massachusetts. One was business intelligence, and one was that creepy cool Internet of Things, machine learning technology. Again, another game-changing software company. And then I spent some time at HP Software and ran field marketing there. And apps and ops and DevOps are not so game-changing. They were kind of status quo, but it was a great opportunity to work at a highly matrixed organization, over 300,000 employees. And then we started acquiring companies in the security and big data space. And again, more game-changing technology. And then now here I am at Cloudera, and it's an AI company, a data and analytics company. And I give you that journey because the market opportunity in front of us, and we're going to be talking about AI right now, it's massive. And all of those kind of inflection points that I just talked about, Cloudera and this market is just putting that on steroids right now. So it's both exciting and terrifying at the same time. So, and a small fact about me, I'm an animal advocate, and I have lots of rescue dogs. I have rescue koi and goldfish. I've got birds. I live on the Cape as well, so I help with the sea turtles and the whales. And so I just, I love my animals. So
I'm a huge fan of dogs. Let's see, I've got a couple of pictures there. Oh.
Yeah, you'll probably hear some of mine in the background. Hopefully not, but they've all got treats right now. So
yeah, likewise here. Well, thank you very much, Mary. And Michael, as we round things out, if you share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Just want to say thank you to the Avenue Code team and Gary for having me here today. It's a pleasure to join such a wonderful panel, and I'm excited about what we're going to discuss today. My name is Michael. I'm the founder and CMO of the AI agency. We build custom AI solutions for enterprises and medium enterprises. And it's something I've been doing and working within since probably early 2015. Been very fortunate to work inside of some incredible technology companies like ZipRecruiter and Dollar Shave Club and Target. And I would say borderline obsessed maybe with the future of technology. And Mary, very similar to you, I'm also a huge animal person. I have 2 dogs myself. And fun fact, I spent a summer in New Zealand where my entire job was feeding the chickens and the llamas and the pigs and the eels. And so I just spent an entire summer around animals and nature. And it was one of the best summers to date. So I appreciate you guys having me here, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Well, let's kind of jump right in. Mary, I know you shared you've had 3 decades of experience. As we kind of look over the last 5 years, how do you kind of feel like the CMO role has kind of evolved?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks. Well, it's evolved a lot, right? And the good news is with technology and these tools, it has really given not only the CMO, but really all of marketing a seat at that proverbial table, right? And just whether it's a board of directors meeting, an executive QBR. And because we have so much technology at our hands as a CMO, I've really got to tap my inner CIO, right? And I have to be, apprised of the latest and cutting edge in terms of campaign metrics or social, et cetera. So, and I feel like AI, particularly where we are right now, has taken everything we've done up a notch for the past 30 years, right? It has improved efficiency. It's improved customer service. I remember way back in the day, this notion of personalization and one-to-one marketing, when the internet first popped out, that was cutting edge back then. And AI is really helping us identify and taking that up a notch and identifying user behavior, predict segments, industries, et cetera. And again, in traditional marketing, we used to get feedback. Remember the days you'd do a piece of paper survey, or you'd get focus groups and together and gather feedback and insights. And with AI as a CMO, I'm able now to analyze unstructured data from sources like social media, customer reviews, online forums, et cetera, in order to gain deeper insights into my customer information. And I think AI has also given us better supply and demand and forecasts, certainly pipeline forecasts and accuracy as well, because everything's at my fingertips right now. And being able to feed that in, I feel like we have better products, and we're creating better products and functionality. And the same for campaigns. Our campaigns are world class now with AI. But like all things, I'm a little old school too. So all things come at a bit of a cost. So with AI and where we are now in terms of marketing, you have this notion of privacy and both human privacy and data privacy. Just assume you're being spied on, right? And you're probably going to fall somewhere in the middle on the spectrum, and that's just the way of life right now. And when you're marketing as well, you have to ask yourself, do you trust the data that you're getting? So we've all seen those creepy stories of, is this really me talking, or is this an avatar impersonating Mary Wells, the CMO of Cloudera? Another thing, it's an interesting challenge, and so you have to be really intentional as a leader. AI can allow us to become a little bit lazy, right? And just click, copy, cut, and paste. And so you really have to focus on maintaining that brain power and creativity that marketing people are so known for, and that scrappiness, right? And like some things, jobs with AI will be replaced and some won't. And it's just like any other industry revolution. So it is it's an exciting and terrifying time at the same time at this juncture. But I would say off the top of my head, those are kind of the biggest changes that I've seen just in the past, year even.
Yeah, I think some of these waves of technology, it's about kind of embracing and learning. I mean, this is definitely one that is like the biggest one that we've seen since the Industrial Revolution, but moving at such a critically fast pace from that standpoint. So understanding, learning, integrating, testing is such an important part. Kevin, tell us a little bit about your thoughts on just kind of how you've seen the CMO role evolve over the last few years.
I think this is the most exciting time to be a CMO. A CMO in the past has been is one of the most rotated positions in an organization in the C-level role. And in the past, it has been marketing has always been a very difficult thing for leadership teams to really wrap their head around how it's working. And so we saw this when social media really started to take off in the mid 2000s and up to 2010s. I had numerous conversations with leadership teams and CEOs working with brands saying, great, we have 28,000 likes on this post. What does that mean? And so you saw a lot of people back in the day trying to figure out, what does social media mean? What does community mean for a brand? How does that impact revenue? How does that impact retention and acquisition? And so we're now, moving into a stage where we have AI that is going to give us significantly better tools to be able to quantify more of that information and more of the impact of our relationships with our clients and correlate that to revenue. Furthermore, as a CMO, I really like what Mary said about, being the CIO and having to have actually knowledge of everything, because as a CMO, what I believe you should be looking at is what is the business impact of the marketing. And that when you're holding a brand and you're responsible for the brand, you're not just responsible for paid ads or the look, you're responsible for the customer service, how product gets delivered, how product is perceived, how you sell that product. And there's so much opportunity to increase marketing efficiency, marketing operations, business operations, leads coming in that turn into clients. You can layer on AI to so many parts of the business, particularly in marketing, just to improve effectiveness. Even if you aren't creating anything super innovative or groundbreaking, business operations and revenue lift can be significantly impacted through marketing now. And these are tools we just didn't have before at our disposal.
Awesome. So I think, as we start to kind of look at the process, sometimes it's easy to start and think about the initial step, like the impetus of actually being discovered, the brand and the amazing things that the group here is creating, kind of how that's evolving. So Michael, I wanted to throw this one over to you. Just tell us a little bit about your thoughts about the current way that people are being discovered. And then also, as we look at these new emerging channels like ChatGPT, Google Bard, and Claude and other large language models, how does that kind of evolve some of the things that we've been doing and then some of how we need to look into the future?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think one that every company is probably asking themselves at the moment. And I think the short answer to that is that the first touch, as it were, can really be anything that you want it to be. And what I mean by that is, traditionally speaking, the first touch in a customer journey for marketing has usually been fairly static, right? It's kind of a one-way street. They engage with our brand through a commercial or an advertisement or through the website. It's really a push sort of messaging where we're putting a messaging out there and we hope it resonates with a potential customer or prospect. And with AI on the scene now, that's totally flipped. It's become a dynamic environment. And I think the way that most companies are realizing that today is through conversational AI. And just as a quick example, if you think of how you've traditionally purchased products, a laptop or a vehicle or whatever you've purchased, you'd go to a site, maybe you do a Google search, you arrive at a website, you know what you're looking for, you use filters and search criteria, and you try to find something. Now with conversational AI, a customer can come to your site, they can engage with a chatbot right away and have a real conversation and say, here's what I'm looking for, here are the pain points I'm trying to solve for, this is what I want to find, and you can guide them. And you can guide them through on that first touch. And I think what that does is it opens up a dynamic that not only is more engaging to the user up front, but it allows us to understand our customers and our prospects on a much more intimate and deeper way right up front than we've ever been able to do before. And that just really sets the stage for all the different ways that we can interact with our customers throughout the rest of the customer journey.
It's really interesting you talk about that. We often get posed the question, how is like Google search? I mean, in our previous lives of the last 10 years, I mean, that was really all that mattered. The joke that was out there, if you want to put a dead body, where do you put it? On the second or third page of Google. It's still such a prominent channel, but organic search and then understanding like how AI-based search, because now they're listing it in the results, there's generative results, and then also structuring the things on your site to kind of feed these new language models. So it really is exciting to see how that's kind of evolving. Michelle, I wanted to ask you just how's AI kind of influencing and changing kind of the customer experience in from your opinion, and kind of is it making it less or more difficult to kind of change the perception of the brand for the customer?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think my answer would sort of build on the foundation that Michael just laid for us. I would say it's allowing us as marketeers to be more targeted and more relevant at scale. And I'll just give you a specific example of what we do here at Boomi, sort of upper funnel, if you will. So we use a propensity modeling tool that does have AI embedded to help us understand what our target accounts are, because our account universe is quite broad, and we only have so many sellers, so we want to make sure that we're prioritizing across sales and marketing and our go-to-market motions the accounts that have the propensity to be good Boomi customers. Then we look at those individuals within those accounts. What are the right persona? Who should we be targeting? And we have a different tool for that helps us with intent signals that come in. So we know not only the account, but the individuals at those accounts that are starting to engage or uncover a potential need for Boomi. We feed that information into our marketing campaigns, but also directly into our inside sales organization. And they use a pretty cool tool called Reggie AI, where it allows them to ingest this information, and AI helps them generate their outreach, and it's hyper targeted and hyper relevant. And we do see that outperforming sort of the old sort of, not spray and pray, but the old sort of, some of the older techniques that I've seen deployed in previous lives.
That's awesome. Michael, I know we've had some conversations outside of this just about some of the things that Michelle just talked about with the ingestion of information, and then like kind of using AI orchestration to build processes that you're not replacing the effort, but you're automating some of those tasks so that we can respond quicker, we can generate better information. Do you anything to expand on that at all, Michael, with some of the things that you've been doing?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of an uncomfortable thought for marketers, in the sense that I think the customer journey to us has traditionally been linear, right? Here are our leads, here are MQLs, here are SQLs, here's how we define them as such, here's how we engage with them at each one of these stages. And it's just been a very linear approach, because that's kind of what we've had to work with. Today, it's become much more multidimensional, right? And to give one example of that, to kind of expand on what Michelle was talking about, is we kind of think that we can control the narrative a little bit better as marketers because of AI, but it's almost the inverse. So when you take user-generated content, for example, through social media and reviews and online platforms, and then you have AI that can use sentiment analysis, you're really then able to analyze, what do people think about my brand as they're engaging with us? How do they feel about us at different stages of the customer journey? And then how can we be more reactive to that rather than trying to be more predictive when we're doing that? And that's where tools like Smith OS and the AI orchestration space are really great, because you can aggregate that data. You can then use sentiment analysis to understand how people feel about your brand. And then more than that, really start to build two-way conversations at each step of the customer journey rather than trying to pre-plan what those touch points look like ahead of time.
Awesome. Thank you. Mary, I wanted to kind of turn it over to you a little, just to talk a little about some of the biggest challenges that you kind of see the CMO role is kind of facing in the current landscape.
Yeah, no, lots of challenges, lots of opportunities, right? The biggest challenge, my number one priority, we'll start with that, is my team and just building that foundation, the org structure, just making sure that we are teed for success and that I come into work every day. How can I help my team be their personal best, whether they're working on, comms, the website, AR, PR, social, campaigns, field marketing, partner marketing, channel marketing, product marketing. So just making sure that everybody is integrated and collaborating, and just this notion of operational excellence so that nothing's done in silos. And so that's what I typically spend my first 3 to 6 months doing at a company. And then one of the hardest challenges now is to get above that noise, to simplify the messaging. And to simplify is really, really hard. And that is a struggle because people want to go right into the feature functions and what we do. And so it's that solution selling. It's, hey, can you tell your story in a couple of sentences who you are? So simplified messaging is always a challenge. And then making it consistent so that the rep in Germany is saying somewhat the same thing as the rep in France and New York and so on. Obviously, you'll have some regionalization there as well. But the other thing that we're dealing with as CMOs right now, I mentioned it earlier, is that whole notion of data and data privacy and compliance with regulations and who can I market to, and particularly in Europe, right? The very, very strict regulations, and how do I keep my database and lists maintained and where I have people I can actually go to market to. So that is somewhat more challenging than it has been in the past. We talked about some of the ROI metrics. Again, the tools have given us that seat at the table, and brand and social media are super important to me, and I have metrics that I track behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, does my CRO really care about click-throughs? He or she probably really wants to know about bottom line is pipeline. And they can't see the behind the scenes. So I'm sure that a lot of people are thinking, what is marketing really doing over there? They're the highest, probably one of the highest budgeted departments at a company. And so just knowing how to straddle both the behind the scenes that's happening in messaging and then making it relevant to the field. As a services organization, I always think of marketing as a services organization to sales, to products, et cetera. And so the amount of data and numbers that I personally have to manage is exponentially larger than it's ever been. And that's good news for somebody like me, because I am a data junkie. And these tools have made it really, really easy for me to do that. But you don't want to get caught in that analysis paralysis. What's relevant to the person you're talking to? Also, having those standout campaigns. I'm sure everybody on this screen right now, your calendars are booked into 2025, right? And how do I have campaigns that stand out? How do I create that experience where, gosh, I only have so many days in my life in a year. Why would I go to your event or campaign? And so just being scrappy and creative and creating that experience so that they pick yours. And so that's always a challenge. And piling on top of that is that new marketing qualified lead that turns into an opportunity. That number is always going to be harder than a marketing influenced or acceleration, like you're growing your share of voice in a customer. So trying to get that net new, again, when you're dealing with all these regulations on who can I really market to, right? And budget, budget to me is not usually an issue. And I say that because everything in life is a trade-off. And so for the right program, right team, et cetera, you'll always find the budget. So I take budget off the table. That's what I tell my team as well. We'll do the right thing. And like life, you have to make trade-offs. And I think the other thing I have to do with a very large team as well is stay curious. I always want to be better, smarter, faster than like the interns on my team. And so I'm always asking, hey, what cool new thing are you looking at? What's your favorite app? And just really learning from them so that I stay, cutting edge and top of mind and can build a modern marketing team. So, lots of challenges, but lots of opportunity as well, particularly with the tools we've all been listening in on.
Yeah, that's some incredible insight. Kevin, anything that you'd like to add at all on some of the challenges or obstacles that you've seen or that you're tackling? I think you're on mute there.
I just did that so nobody else has to be the guy who's on mute. So you're welcome, everybody.
It's okay.
Or, the person. So to build on Mary's comments, which I experienced as well, all like real legitimate problems. There's an excitement and fear right now about AI and how to integrate that into an organization. You listen to any podcast and you're bound to hear somebody say, if you're not leaning into AI right now, oh, you're going to be left behind. Oh, you better be doubling down. And that has a lot of companies not knowing what to do, especially if they are not technically capable. Companies will sometimes look at investing not thoughtfully into innovation, which takes away resources from tried, tested, and true revenue generators. And so what is that balance between innovating and also executing on what's working? And so I find that there's a CMO right now. One of our challenges is to, and has been since I've been in the business, guide an organization through frameworks and give them some stability and structure on how do we innovate and have this kind of messy, unknown future, but do it in a way that is going to minimize our risk and hopefully increase our opportunities. Because at the end of the day, we're still being held accountable for the return and the revenue. I think now is the best time, again, ever to be a CMO, because we have so many tools that can analyze community data and our own data and do it so much faster than before. You don't have to build a dashboard in Tableau. You just pump a bunch of stuff into GPT and put in an Excel spreadsheet and away you go. Like, it's amazing. So I think a CMO's role is really part of their role is to provide to be a good captain of the marketing and provide that framework and direction and navigational coordinates on how we're going to move ahead, lift the team up, figure out how all boats rise in a tide within marketing and within the organization. So it's managing. There's part a technical skill and really creative, smart marketing, and then part company therapist, unofficial company therapist and leadership team therapist that comes into play when you're a CMO.
Yeah, you got to keep the key. Mary, I think you talked about this, just the power and strength of the team, keeping them motivated, excited, and curious is really, really important. Kevin, as we kind of shift to the middle of the customer journey, there's friction points that people talk about, and there's also now the potential that some of those friction points have gotten a little bit easier. What have you kind of seen from that as you've kind of looked at it?
So there's a few things. So chatbots are, hot right now, and still I find at least 70% of them are terrible, but they're getting better. And 70, I think, is probably being generous. But the good ones are really good. And what I find when it comes to the kind of middle of the funnel, somebody's interested in your product or service, what I'm finding is working with organizations to increase their rate of service to clients. So how fast can a lead come in and that turn into a proposal to a client? And like big clients too, like we're not just talking about SaaS services. How quickly can meeting notes from a discovery call of a client be turned into action items, and those action items be turned into some kind of deliverable in the sales process? Those things can happen incredibly fast. Information gets lost, or the loss of information has been reduced significantly. So all of a sudden, large amounts of people I find in organizations have access to information to help buyers make better decisions when they're doing sales and prospecting calls. We even have implemented a system where we pull in RFPs, and I know most of us probably just love RFPs. But anyway, burning through 10 RFPs, 30, 40 pages each is just terrible. But, you can actually use GPT to pull out really important information about the RFPs and then summarize. You can look at 10 RFPs in now 20 minutes instead of like the 4 hours it would have taken you before. So I find there's a lot of consumer facing and customer facing, whether you're doing B2B, B2C, ways that you can use AI to increase the customer experience. But I find equipping the humans with better skills and better efficiencies to deliver better conversations and content to their end customer that they're talking to, because people are still closing deals. Like that's a really important thing. I find that is a way that the middle of the funnel activity has gotten better for at least B2B and brands where you're still dealing with people.
Yeah, I mean, speed to service is gotten so important. I mean, think of how much we love Amazon because it's click buy and literally a couple hours later it shows up. Why do people love Twitter? Because it's instant feed of information from that standpoint. So definitely can have a really positive impact on the customer experience and definitely, closing deals from that standpoint. I wanted to ask Michelle, as you're looking at creating, different types of challenges in creating like the right brand awareness. You have such an incredible background and been in a lot of companies, whether you're looking at helping rebrand a company as you come into these new roles, or even kind of reinvent a brand that's been around for a long time.
Yeah, it's really relevant because I think we've done both at Boomi, or in the process of doing both, rebirthing and rebranding. So for those of you that may not know Boomi's story, Boomi was acquired by Dell about 12 or 13 years ago, and sort of became part of a very, very large hardware company. So we have a software sort of as part of a hardware company. So we're always a bit of the proverbial redheaded stepchild. But I think we did adopt many of Dell's processes and even became Dell Boomi. We even sort of went to market for a decade as a product and as a sub-brand within the Dell universe. Well, we had two private equity companies come together about a year and a half ago and carve us out, which was incredibly difficult for those of you that have been through the carve out process. It is not for the faint of heart. But we are now private equity backed and a standalone company. And we had this identity crisis, right? It's like, well, we're not part of Dell. We're not Dell Boomi anymore. We're just Boomi. What does the Boomi brand stand for? How do we want to show up? How do we help clients with that change to Boomi? How do we build Boomi brand awareness in the market? We also struggled a bit, I think, culturally. We had adopted sort of the pace of Dell, the processes of Dell, and now here we are, a $500 million SaaS company that needs to be a lot more agile and nimble than, the big sort of, monolith that is Dell. So I would say it was multifaceted. I'm really proud of the work the team has done, sort of defining the enemy or the problem that we help customers solve. And really, ultimately, that problem is digital fragmentation. We all work in environments where systems don't talk to one another. We can't get the one view of the truth sometimes like we would like. That's the problem Boomi solves. We connect anything to anything. And so we found a way to sort of distill that value proposition and solve that problem in our messaging. And we refreshed, the brand, the face of the brand while we were at it. And it's early days yet, but so far so good. But really proud of that work. And I think having that identity crisis, I think, is quite common, but wrestling that identity crisis to the ground and moving the entire organization forward is really critical.
Definitely. That's awesome. Mary, I know you've had some experience with this, and I know you came into this new role really energized by this new AI revolution that's going on. Tell us a little bit about how you've approached rebranding and reinvigoration of existing brands.
No, thank you. Yes, so I'm about 5 months in, right? And similar story. Cloudera is a merger of Cloudera and Hortonworks. You might know Hortonworks from Hadoop. And it was a public company that went private. And so now we are a $1 billion PE equity-backed company trying to show the world the Cloudera of today. And so refreshing a tired brand, I guess my advice and what I've done in the past is you start with B2E marketing, business to employee marketing, inside out, and you have to be really clear why you're doing this and get that messaging alignment. And, that notion of modern day focus group feedback, right? Versus like the old school ways, but just the virtual coffee talks and really having it a two-way street and getting the research and feedback early and often, and continuing to iterate. You have to involve the key constituents both at the beginning, both internally and externally, your key customers, analysts, prospects, and take the feedback. But you can't just flip the brand. You can't just like, oh, we're going to change the color, or we're going to change, the logo. It is a rolling thunder drip type of process, and it's everything from the simplified messaging that I talked about earlier to what does the website look like? What does LinkedIn look like? What do our campaigns look like? How do we show up at events? And so it's iterative, right? And you have to practice the pause during it and just really be intentional, like, how's it going? And really take stock. And like I said before, just knowing why you're doing it. You want to differentiate, but you don't want to lose that identity that got you to where you are. So the easiest way I can describe that is like right now we're in the process of, hey, we should be really proud of our roots of the past 20 plus years. So that notion of an evolution timeline is really, really important as you're rebranding, so that people can see, oh, okay, I get it. That's where you were, but here's where you're going. Click, right? And so you don't want to, like I said, you don't want to change everything in one go. It's a crawl, walk, run, as I tell my team. And you have to track the brand metrics. I'm maniacal about data and metrics. And so from the get-go, from my customer engagement, web traffic, social media activity, leads, earned media coverage, et cetera, all the brand metrics that CMOs care about. And you got to start tracking that from day one, really. And like I said, you have to be intentional and put those customers first, and just be really clear, concise, and just have that communication in every which way you can. And the feedback loop is so key, because Gary, you might like red, I like blue, and so you gotta figure out, how do I sell you on blue, right?
Without it, I wanted to go back to something you kind of just mentioned about like the metrics and like the conversion metrics, which are just so critical. Can you touch back on that just a moment? It's such an important factor. Just what do you see as some of those really guiding post metrics from that standpoint? And then also, how does those metrics help you guide the business, and then also interact with your CRO that obviously is measured by similar but maybe different metrics?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I am a marketing person who thinks like a sales rep, right? And because they are my number one client, and they have a really, really hard job. Literally hot off the press today, like 2 hours ago, I was talking with the CRO, and he's like, how are we measuring brand? I know you just started. And I said, well, we just had a webinar, and we doubled not only the registration, but we doubled the attendance. The attendance was our original registration goal, which was phenomenal. And the anecdotal feedback from that webinar alone, from one of our top clients and prospects, was, wow, you guys are doing things differently. I've seen a new Cloudera in the past 6 to 12 months. And that to me is success. So you get anecdotal feedback as well. And the CRO is so important. And again, the MarTech stack has given me those data-driven insights and links and reports that resonate with the CRO. Sorry if you can hear my dog in the background. He's part husky. So, and you have to think like a sales rep, and that operational cadence and excellence. Annual, monthly, weekly, daily targets. And you have to know the funnel. How does the sales cycle work? And how does it map to the marketing funnel to that? And you have to know the conversion rates of pipeline. I metric my team on pipeline, not revenue, and I'll always follow my sword on that. I want to influence the revenue, but marketing is responsible, in my opinion, on pipeline. And as a geo territory rep, have enough pipeline to be successful based on historic conversion rates. And again, marketing is a service to sales. So I want to give them the data that helps them. And again, messaging is different. I'm not sure who said it, but we're talking about top, middle, and bottom of the funnel. And so you have to have different audience, persona-based marketing, different messages, as from door opener to accelerating to closing. And the mix of programs matters, because reps and the CRO have clients in different stages. And so that mix is really, really important. And again, I, as a CMO, care about click-through rates and website traffic and pay, unearned or unpaid media results, et cetera. The CRO may care, but they really want to know bottom line pipeline. And so the two things I open every morning when I log in, salesforce.com, how are we tracking, and my budget. So pipeline and programs, when it matches to the plan, we have a great QBR. So you have to be that marketing person who thinks like a sales rep. And,
I
and just know that you are a service to them. And so you might have to tell them 25 times what that campaign is. And on the 25th time you tell them, you have to be as enthusiastic as you were on the first time, because they have so much coming at them. And so you have to be relevant.
Yeah, I mean, it is such a close synergy from that standpoint. Michelle, I wanted to kind of pose this one over to you, just as you're looking at different types of conversion metrics, and just also, do you see that changing as we're kind of evolving and moving quickly, especially with a lot of the incredible tools that you talked about a little bit earlier that are informing some of your steps in the sales process and the customer?
Yeah, I would just want to echo everything Mary said. I think, whether you like it or not, the plight of a good B2B marketer is sales adoption, like full stop. So having that strong alignment with the CRO is paramount. We too are targeted based on pipeline. We do influence, like you said, Mary, a lot of revenue, but we do carry a hard and fast pipeline target. We've really been focused lately, not just on volume needed for pipeline coverage, but on conversion, because I think we really unpacked that all leads or MQLs are not created equal. Some things convert at a much higher clip to pipeline than others. And we've now been able to sort of separate the wheat from the chaff and really prioritize those. So we have certain altitudes or levels of MQLs and different follow-up protocol with our inside sales team. Of course, we always want to improve conversion, but we've more than doubled conversion in the last year by sort of not treating all MQLs equally. And I think the fruits of our labor have paid off, because it's really allowed us to be much more targeted in our spend so that we can direct those program dollars to much higher converting tactics and sources. So again, just really reinforcing everything Mary just shared with us.
Awesome. So now as we take the next step, I'm just curious, how does your role, how does it deal with kind of post-sale, managing the customer retention as we get kind of some of those North Star metrics in kind of customer satisfaction?
Yeah, for sure. So I think this is common in a SaaS business, but right, recurring revenue is hugely important. Boomi is a really sticky product, lucky us. But supporting our customer success and account management teams in the retention process, the renewal cycle, has been immensely important. We in marketing have been tooling within our customer data platform a new AI solution that starts to create cohorts of customers based on utilization, right? Based on how they're using the product. And then we can be hyper targeted and relevant at scale by approaching those cohorts of customers differently. And early results are quite positive. That could be through marketing motions, that could be through sales plays and sales motions. But when we carry a pipeline target, we not only carry a new logo pipeline target, we carry an expansion pipeline target as well.
Yeah, that's so critical. I mean, they always talk about how, call it land and expand, or the best business is just an expanding an existing client. So that's a really important metric. It's good that you guys are looking at that. I wanted to kind of switch to you, Kevin, and just kind of talk about, as we start to look forward, we know that this is an exciting time. Are there any tools or marketing things in the landscape that you're kind of really excited about as we're now taking on this new wave of AI? I mean, I know it's touching a lot of things that we're doing, but any things that some of your secret tricks that you've got in your back pocket that you kind of want to share with our incredible audience today? You're on mute. It's okay, don't worry. There'd
First
not
time
be
on the
any
internet, I guess.
webinar that would not be complete without that happening,
At least a couple of times.
No worries.
So there's a lot of excitement around personalization, like just the ability that we're able to do it now, and understanding our communities better, faster, and be able to respond. And so that's all exciting. But a tool I've been playing with that I'm really pumped about, and I'm pumped about this tool, but just more tools like this that are coming out. If you haven't gone to it, check out Error.ai. And that is a tool that will call customers for you that don't make purchases and talk them through why they didn't make purchases. They've got this amazing demo on working a guy who was just incredibly put off by sales call, and he didn't want to buy the Apple Vision Pros, and so he's going to buy the Meta Quests because they're cheaper, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, we had this whole conversation with an AI bot that was very friendly and human-like, and so I've been working with AI, AI around that, and what does that mean for service? And it's advanced touch points for the clients. It can be advanced touch points to set sales calls. It can be advanced touch points to get feedback on product and just the efficiencies around that. So I'm really quite excited about how clients, how these tools can interact with our clients. And so we as a brand can get better at making sure we're delivering on our brand promise, that we are doing what we say we're going to do, that our clients feel like they are the most important thing in the world. So there are like way too many tools and not enough time for me to talk about what I'm excited about, but I think the ability to have this non-human to human communication is pretty neat, and I'm pumped for that.
Awesome. I'll just tell you something that we've kind of built internally, also with an AI orchestration platform. We've got marketers here, we've got salespeople, a good, incredible combination, but we kind of call it a sales agent. And so when you go on like a sales video call, I mean, what we always talk about from a marketing perspective is how can we allow our sales force to be as focused on the things that they need to do, and some of the things that are kind of a little monotonous that they don't always love to do. How can we remove some of that and infuse it with technology? So we built an agent that literally like records the call, transcribes the call, looks at the call to summarize the information. What were the positives, the negatives, the next step? What's the follow-up email to a customer? Take all of that, bring it into HubSpot, which is a CRM we use, and then actually rate it in your pipeline. So really just taking a lot of those steps and automating them. And it's really been getting really great traction with that, with the team from that perspective. Michael, I know you've kind of toyed around and looked at some of these things, and you've got a few magic cards in your deck. Love to see if you could share one with us.
Yeah, I'll actually maybe take this from a different angle. I think one of the things I'm most excited about is the ability to use AI to make our marketing more human, more empathetic, and truly value driven. And it sounds kind of counterintuitive, so hopefully no one's like bringing out the pitchforks, but hear me out. Like one of my favorite, the thing I'm most excited about, if you think of the advancements in NLP, natural language processing, and you combine that with the vast amounts of data that we have from UGC, user generated content, and social media, and when you pair those things, AI can be incredible at not only responding to and understanding what a customer or a potential customer is asking, but why they're asking it. What are they really trying to solve? Like, what are some of the secondary and tertiary areas that they can explore, and being able to drive down deeper in real time? And this kind of goes back to the customer journey question earlier. It's not a one-way conversation where we put a messaging out, then a customer comes and we acquire them and we hear from them through a form or a conversation, and then we get back to them. It's all in real time. And what does that mean for us in practical terms? Think about, conversational marketing, personalized content in real time, or voice search optimization. When you think of voice assistants like Alexa and Siri, I mean, I think 2024 has already seen a doubling since 2022 in the number of users who are using voice assisted search, particularly the younger generations. As NLP gets more advanced and can understand those voice queries and the way that people engage in conversation and ask questions, the better our marketing can really dive down, and we can be more empathetic and be more human in interacting one-to-one in those conversations and in those interactions, rather than having kind of this more wide net messaging. And I think there's going to be a lot in the realm of conversational AI and NLP, and and we'll see that probably through the end of this year and into next. And I'm really excited about that.
Very, very exciting. I want to, one more question, then we'll have some final thoughts, and then we'll go to some of the questions from our audience. So please, audience out there, we've got a few questions that have been submitted. You're going to get a chance to ask them to the group here. So please start thinking about those. I just wanted to kind of look at maybe from a different standpoint. If we start to look at hiring people that we're bringing into our marketing organization and training them, how do you see that evolving right now with some of these new tools and new technologies? Michelle, will you kind of share some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't profess to be an expert on HR or how AI might be changing or revolutionizing the talent acquisition process, but we do have great partners here in HR at Boomi that I know are using a lot of tools to help us find new talent or fill any critical skill gaps that we have. My sense is there are some skills we're looking to acquire that just are very nascent, they're very new, and they're not prevalent in the market, meaning we couldn't go buy them, even if we wanted to. So we've been focusing on sort of this right to experiment, right? Because I think we do need to show grace, and we do need to give folks the autonomy to come out and experiment, and we may fail, but as long as we're failing fast and learning from those failures, we're only going to get better. So I've been encouraging my team to experiment with lots of different AI tools to see how they might aid or improve their work, or the return on the investment that we do have in our marketing programs. So I think it's really about fostering curiosity. It's okay to fail, that right to experiment. And then we have been doing some training. There are organizations out there. We've taken the General Assembly digital marketing course, but I think there's ways we can increase our digital marketing prowess, if you will, by bringing in some expertise and supporting and funding even those programs with our own employees.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, what I want to do is just kind of some closing thoughts. And I definitely want to save some time for some of the questions that the audience have shared. Just kind of go around a little and just share one word that really sums up one of the most valuable characteristics that you think is important for modern day CMO. Kevin, maybe we'll start with you.
Empathy.
Very, very, very important. Definitely. Michelle, sorry, I'm just going around my.
Yeah, I would say adaptability.
Definitely. Awesome. Mary.
I'm going to use a hyphenated word, customer centric.
Yes. And we'll wrap up with Michael. What is your thoughts?
Creativity.
Yeah, I mean, those are all very fundamental things. What I want to do now is I just want to go, we've got a couple of questions, and I do urge our audience, please, if you're out there, if you have any questions you want to ask these our incredible panelists, please let us know. The first question is, AI is expensive. What would marketing need to learn more about? Maybe task-based conversion to a chatbot. A little bit of an open question, but just the expense on AI. Michael, from your perspective, what are your thoughts on that? And what feedback would you give to the audience?
It's a great question. One that I'm sure every CMO or marketer, and anyone really, is probably asking. In terms of cost, I would say the cost, whatever that is today, is nothing compared to the opportunity costs of not adapting. When you think of the future conversions through everything that the panels talked about today, and just the return of using better technology, smarter technology, using AI for being a more empathetic and customer-driven marketing organization, I think the results are 10 to 1,000-fold on that in terms of cost. And in terms of designing those sort of conversational elements, I think the first part is design for conversation. And I actually think that can be harder for marketers and easier for salespeople, because salespeople are having these frontline conversations on a day-to-day basis, and they're getting these real-time feedback loops. And as marketers, we don't get that as often. So I think that's something we need to change our thinking about, but we need to design these elements for conversation. And then the second part is just leverage for conversational data. Make sure that you're capturing the right data, that you're using the right models to aggregate and analyze that data, and you're feeding that back to really understand how can we improve and make this process better for the future. But I think if it's something you're considering, like I said, the opportunity cost is just so much greater than whatever the initial investment could ever be.
Yeah, and I'll just add a couple thoughts from a cost perspective. Because now large language models are so powerful, so readily available, and getting more and more cost effective, it's really never been more economical to build small POCs to test them. It's never been faster, and it's never been more economical. I mean, you used to have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on even small pilots, and now they could be 10 to 20. And maybe even less from that standpoint. So I think some of these rapid prototyping, some of these AI orchestration platforms let you do it very, very quickly. And it's a great way, like you said, that opportunity cost is really so high. So test, learn, innovate. I mean, we've all, the lean startup models, we've all heard that, but just, looking at some of the pioneers that had done it before, the faster we can build, test, learn, and innovate, the easier it is. Mary, there's a question here for you. Marketing's responsibility on pipeline versus that of sales, which is revenue. Do you get pushback on this? And how do you show the quality of the pipeline that you're helping to generate?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And again, you have to, I think like a sales rep, right? And when I take a CMO role after meeting the CEO and the board, the very first person I want to meet is the CRO. It's not the head of it products, it's not engineering, it's the CRO. And it's table stakes for me because a lot of times I've been in a process of onboarding, and like, you're going to have the wrong CMO because they might over pivot and say, we just want net new opportunities. We're good. We've got the install base. You don't need to touch them. And I always say, well, you have the wrong CMO, because it's not an either or, it's an and you have to know where to crank the dials. Coming back to the pipeline question, it's in parallel because the entire marketing team owns pipeline. The field marketing team is typically the one who has the privilege of talking about pipeline every single day with the sales teams, right? But make no mistake, everybody owns pipeline and everybody is on the hook for that. And again, it's based on historic conversion rates. And is it 3.5x, 4.5x? And again, it's by geo territory rep. And when you have that kind of cadence and you understand the sales cycle, then you get street cred, right? Because if you are going to tie me to revenue, yeah, I want some of that maybe in my MBO or something, but my team they could be creating the most amazing ABM programs, campaigns, like world class. And should they be penalized because you have a rep who can't close? And so that's why I always fall on my sword with, I want to have some skin in the game with revenue, but you're going to metric me and my team on pipeline because that's what we can control, if that makes sense. And so I just have the conversation just straight up like that. So, and just that racy model, right?
Awesome.
I know hopefully that answers the question.
It does. It helps a lot. Kevin, I know you wanted to add something on the cost of AI, and I know we're getting close to the end here, but please, if you could share some of your thoughts.
Yeah, real quick. There's a operating modes framework when it comes to that I think I got from Section or Scott Galloway. And if you're looking at implementing AI, it might be useful to look at 3 different areas. Are you looking at optimizing internal systems? Are you looking at accelerating products or services? Or are you looking at like transforming and innovating products? Those each have different costs to them. Optimizing internal products or optimizing internal efficiencies is like your lowest cost. And accelerating your products or service has like the second highest cost. So you can start right now making use cases and proof of concepts with AI within the organization. You don't have to go out and build a LLM with like tons of data and hire like developers, which you can, which is awesome, and it is very affordable, but I would say just get into something, and there's lots of very affordable ways you can start making your organization better, even if it's not public facing when it comes to using AI.
Yeah, definitely. Testing and learning is critical. Well, I just want to kind of wrap things up. Thank you guys to this incredible panel for your incredible expertise, sharing your stories. I know it's been really, really valuable. I do just want to also just share that please share our CMOunity community with others. I mean, this is a very exclusive kind of peer-to-peer group. We do interview the candidates before they're allowed in, but please, if you know other CMOs or
don't have to go out and build LLM with like tons of data and hire like developers, which you can, which is awesome, and it is very affordable, but I would say just get into something, and there's lots of very affordable ways you can start making your organization better, even if it's not public facing when it comes to using AI.
Yeah, definitely. Testing and learning is critical. Well, I just want to kind of wrap things up. Thank you guys to this incredible panel for your incredible expertise, sharing your stories. I know it's been really, really valuable. I do just want to also just share that please share our CMOunity community with others. I mean, this is a very exclusive kind of peer-to-peer group. We do interview the candidates before they're allowed in. But please, if you know other CMOs or a CMO you want to nominate for the group, please, send them the information. I'm sure it's posted where you are, but it's information.avenuecode.com CMOunity executive community. So thank you guys very much, everybody, for joining us today. It was a great kickoff to this new community, and we look forward to you joining us next time. Have a fantastic day.